To today's session on Lord Shiva, the glories of Lord Shiva. Again, today's topic is also a very great topic, not a small one, very big and great to understand. It is mentioned in the scriptures that to understand these four personalities is very difficult. To understand from where they come, in what form we should worship them.
Four personalities.
Four personalities. You can tell this as four tattvas. Tattva.
Prabhuji, what does that mean? Tattva?
Tattva means a philosophy on identification. Like God is one tattva, and we know God is Krishna. Another tattva is Jiva tattva, or the souls. So we all are soul. So we understand like this. That is second tattva. Third tattva, one more example of another tattva is the Kala tattva, or the time. To understand past, present, future. To understand how things happen in different circumstances. That is one of the one more tattva. Another tattva is karma tattva. Karma, whatever activities we do, good activities, bad activities, or the transcendental activities, which is Krishna conscious activities. Like that, there are many tattvas. So today we will be discussing about a brief of Shiva tattva. And as I was saying, that there are these four tattvas which are very difficult to understand. These four are not the same four which I told before. These four are different. These four which I'm talking about are different tattvas which are difficult to understand. We can understand time. We can understand time tattva. We can understand the karma tattva, our activities tattva. We can understand who is God. We can understand who am I. But the four which are difficult to understand, the first among them is Sri Radha tattva. That means to understand Srimati Radharani. Who is she? Is she just a girl who loves Krishna? Or is she the supreme goddess? What is her relationship with Krishna? How do we understand? Is it just a love affair between them or something transcendental? So this is one of those tattvas which is very difficult to understand, the Radha tattva. Second one, which is difficult to understand, is Shiva tattva, which we will be talking a bit today. To understand the position of Lord Shiva, what is the beginning of Lord Shiva? What is his position? Is he God or is he servant? Or is he a demigod? Now, the third tattva, which is difficult to understand, is Guru tattva. Why it is difficult to understand about Guru? Because Guru is not God. At the same time, we should worship him like God. We should respect him like God. And now the fourth one, which is difficult to understand, is the Dham Tattva, Dham or the spiritual place, which we call holy place. Holy places like Vrindavan, holy places like Jagannath Puri, like Dwarka, like Tirupati, like Mayapur. So what is difficult in understanding this? That major difficulty which is that we think these holy places to be a normal material place. We start considering this to be some city like Mumbai or Bangalore, and we think, oh, Mayapur is like Bangalore. But Vrindavan and Delhi both are different. In the same way, we should understand that Vrindavan, Mayapur, or Jagannath Puri, or any of these holy places, let it be Tirupati, or Dwarka, or Badrikashram, all these are not different from the spiritual world, from Golok Vrindavan. So these are the four tattvas which are difficult to understand, and we will be dealing with the one today, which is Shiva Tattva. So before beginning, I would like to give a story. Are you ready to take it? Are you awake or you are sleeping? Do you want to hear? Yes? No? Okay, some are saying yes. Okay, majority are saying yes. Rekha Mataji, do you want to hear? Rekha Sharma? Story of Lord Shiva? Okay. Mataji from Germany, do you want to hear? Sitting in Germany, do you want to hear about Lord Shiva? Okay, that's great. This story explains us that how merciful Lord Shiva is. How easily he becomes happy with anybody. Even if that person would not have done big devotional service, but he simply prays to Lord Shiva immediately becomes happy. So there was a hunter. Now we will get into the story. There was a hunter, and obviously his daily routine was to go to the forest and hunt to different animals, bring those animals at home, cook them, and eat along with his family. This was his daily routine. So on one particular day, he tried searching for animals to kill them so that he can hunt them, but he found none. He tried a lot, sometimes a rabbit, sometimes a deer, sometimes some different animal, but he could not. He could not hunt any animal that day. So that was the time to go to his home in the evening, but he was afraid, but that there is nothing to eat. So how can I go to my home and give these people? They will become angry at me, my father, mother, my wife, my children. They will ask, oh, where is the food? And I cannot face them like this. So thinking this in the mind, he did not go to home on that particular day. He stayed in the forest. There was a tree in the forest, and he climbed that tree thinking that, okay, no animal should come, no snake or tiger, even if in the night, if they come, I will be safe. So he climbed the tree. This tree was inside an abandoned place. Saurabh Prabhu, you have to explain them what is Khandar. So this was a Khandar, this was an abandoned place. Nobody was visiting this. Just some pillars were there in that place. And inside that place, this tree was there and he climbed that tree. So in the night, he was on the tree and then he was shaking because you cannot sit in one particular position for a long time. Your back will start paining. So you have to move a little bit this side, little bit that side. So he was also moving a little bit this side, that side on the branch, because of which the tree was shaking and some of the leaves started falling. And now more night came and he was afraid again that now if in the night, if I sleep and I fall, then some tiger or some other animal will come and eat me up. So I have to be awake. What should I do? So he discovered a plan for him. He started plucking the leaves from the tree and started dropping them down. This is not nothing great, but okay, something I will do so that I will not sleep. So I will engage myself in this physical activity. I will pluck the leaves. I will push them down. I will make them fall, because of which I will not sleep. So this was going on. Quarter of the night passed. And after some time, he heard a roaring sound of a lion. That's it. What else was remaining? He became really afraid. He started shivering on the tree. He started looking here and there, but he could not see anybody. Another roaring sound came, and he was more fearful. He cannot make any sound because if he makes a sound, the tiger or the lion will come and eat him up. So he became quiet, but out of fear, he passed water. He urinated, sitting on the tree. So that but still he was safe. He did not die. And time passed. Then he went to his house. He grew up old. Now we are fast forwarding the story. And his death time came. So because he was a hunter and he had killed many innocent animals, he was supposed to go to hell. But at that particular time, Lord Shiva comes and he interrupts the Yamaraj that no, you cannot take this hunter to Yamloka. He will not go to hell. And I know why? Why he will not go to hell? Forget about Yamaraj. This hunter was in shock. Why Lord Shiva is coming to me? Why he is restricting me go to hell? I have killed so many animals, I should go to hell. But anyways, let me find out. So he asked Lord Shiva, my dear Lord, I am such a sinful person. What good activity? I don't remember anything in my life. What did I do because of which you are stopping me to go to hell and you are taking me to your own place, to your own dham, Kailash? And now Lord Shiva is telling the story back to the hunter. You remember one night in which you could not find any animal to hunt? You were searching everywhere and then you climbed a tree and you were dropping the leaves. Then you urinated also. That day was Shivaratri day. That night was Shivaratri night. And because you were dropping the leaves, these leaves were Bel Patra, the leaf which we offer to Lord Shiva on Shiva Linga. And then in fear, you urinated also. But I accepted that as a water offering being offered. And that is the reason I am taking you not to hell, but to my Kailash. So such merciful is Lord Shiva. He is extremely, extremely merciful. So then how do we understand? Should we also start worshipping Lord Shiva? Yes, why not? We can worship Lord Shiva. But as Vaishali asked in the previous class, I hope she remembers. She asked, she was worshipping Lord Shiva, if I'm right. Vaishali, you were the one who asked? Says there is nothing wrong in worshipping Lord Shiva. But we should understand how we should worship him. Like I can see you on the gallery view. I have put my gallery view on. I would randomly would like to ask few questions. You can say yes or no. No need to write down in the chat box. Just in your video screen, you just do yes or no. And if your video is off, please switch on the video. Okay, so the first question. Do you like mango juice or mango milkshake to drink? Yes, no. Only Asha likes, nobody else likes? Okay, yes, many are liking. Okay, do you like milk also to eat, drink? Do you want to drink milk? Good. How many of you like dosa and sambar? Yes. Okay, now for North Indians, how many of you like aloo parathas? Okay, Samir also likes. Samir Prabhu also likes. Nice. Okay. How many of you like to drink every day bitter gourd juice, Karela juice? Kapil, do you like bitter gourd juice? Do you want to drink every day? Okay, do you like to drink neem juice or aloe vera juice? Samir, do you want to drink neem juice every day? Okay, he likes. Nice. Anyways, I got to know that Vijaya, she likes to drink mango juice, but she doesn't like bitter gourd juice. So if Vijaya comes to my house, what should I give her? Neem bitter gourd juice or mango juice? Obviously, mango juice, because she likes it. In the similar way, we have to understand what Lord Shiva likes so that we can worship him properly. We should understand who is he so that we can worship him properly. Okay, Madan Mohan is showing mango. Thank you for showing mango. Is that mango? Anyway, some nice fruit.
This is the bale
Okay,
fruit.
Lord Shiva. Okay, he's saying Lord Shiva likes the bale
This
fruit.
is the bale fruit which is showing.
Yes, nice. Yeah. Bale fruit. Nice. So let's get into understanding the tattva of Lord Shiva. So here I'm giving a shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 13th chapter, text number 16.
You need to type
This
that,
explains,
Prabhu.
yeah, I've written it, Prabhu. 12.13.16. And this particular verse explains that amongst all the rivers, Ganga is supreme.
Only India?
No, all around the world, all around the creation. Ganga is supreme to the river in Germany also. And even in UK, there may be Thames River, but Ganga is supreme to Thames also. So Ganga is the supreme river. Like that, amongst all different worships which we do, worship of Krishna is also known as Achyuta. So worship of Krishna is supreme. In all the different Vedic literatures, comparing Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, or Bhagavad Gita, or Ramayan, or Mahabharat, or the Vedas, the supreme book, the supreme scripture is Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly, among all the different devotees of Lord Krishna, we call them as Vaishnavas. So among all different Vaishnavas, like Prahlad, Hanumanji, Hanuman is also, he is devotee of Lord Ram. Dhruva was a small boy. He was devotee of Lord Vishnu. The 5 Pandavas, or Ganesha, amongst all different Vaishnavas in the entire creation, the supreme most, the best Vaishnava is Shambhu, or Lord Shiva. And that's how the verse says, Vaishnava nam yatha Shambho. This is the Sanskrit of that verse, just that particular line. Which means Lord Shambhu or Lord Shiva is the greatest of all the Vaishnavas. He is the best devotee of Lord Krishna. And I'm not speaking this. This is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, now we get into next topic of how many Shivas are there. What is the difference between Shiva, Shambhu, Rudra, Sadashiva? Okay, let me write some of them. Shambhu, Sada, Shiva, or Rudra. So, or are they incarnation of Lord Shiva? What it is? How it is? Do you remember the seminar, the session or Zoom session which we did on the last Sunday on creation? You remember? You don't remember? Some of you? From Krishna comes Balaram. From Balaram comes the 4 Vishnu personalities. then the next four, then the first Vishnu comes as Mahavishnu. Some of you remember? Yeah, Vaishali is remembering. At least some are remembering. Anyways, so we will begin with the beginning. Lord Sadashiva, he is not different from Lord Vishnu. Lord Sadashiva is having a four-handed form as Lord Vishnu. He is having four hands, like Lord Vishnu is having four hands. Similarly, Sadashiva is also having four hands. Sadashiva is incarnation or a Narayana Murti. We call him as Narayana Murti. Is equal to Sadashiva. And he is situated in the spiritual world. Now you understand that there is material world in which we all are living. In material world is hell, our earth, then heaven also. In material world, Brahmaji is also there. This whole universe is material world. After this material world is the spiritual world. So the borderline, what separates the border which separates spiritual world and material world, this border is Mahesh Dham, or this border is the place where Lord Sadashiva is in his Narayan form. That is Sadashiva. Now we will come to another personality who is Shambhu. Shambhu. So when the first Vishnu, Mahavishnu, he thinks of creation, that thinking of his eyesight, he sees the universe, he sees Mother Nature. When he is seeing that Mother Nature, that sight is Sadashiva, is Shambhu. I know this is very difficult for all of us to understand because we don't have anything, we cannot even imagine this thing properly. But don't worry, don't worry. Whatever you can understand a little bit, you understand. We will continue some more stories of Lord Shiva after this. Then Lord Shambhu, he incarnates in all the universes. Now we heard that there is not, in the previous class, we know that there is not only one universe, but there are many, many universes. You remember those golden balls? So in all those golden balls, Lord Shambhu incarnates as Shiva. And he resides in Kailash. In every universe, in all those golden balls, there is a Kailash mountain. And in that Kailash mountain, Lord Shiva is situated. So that is about Lord Shiva. Now, some of you may be questioning, okay, what about we know that God is creator, he is maintainer, and he is destroyer. So we know Brahma created, Vishnu is maintaining, and Shiva is destroying. But you are not mentioning anything like this. Now comes the third personality, fourth personality, which is Rudra. So during the time of annihilation, when this whole material world is supposed to be destructed and get ready for the new creation again, at that time, Lord Shiva, he incarnates into 11 different forms, into 11 forms. And this 11 forms are the Rudras. And the head of this Rudras is known as Shankar. You would be remembering Shankar also. Rudra, they are 11 in number.
Prabhuji, the head means the head as in
No,
this head.
not that. The leader of all the Rudras. Leader of Rudras is Shankar. His name is Shankar. Okay, I know that this has become a very big philosophy for us to digest and understand. Some of us may be completely lost. What is this? Shiva, Sadashiva, Shankar, Shambhu. We wanted to know very simple. Why are you giving all this? Tell us something simple. That's why I was saying in the beginning, this Shiva Tattva is very difficult to understand. Okay, in clear understanding, is he God or he is not God? What is he? This I would like to give you from another scripture by name Shri Brahma Samhita. So this particular book, the Brahma Samhita, we had discussed about this before also, is being spoken by Lord Brahma. And in that, he explains who is Krishna, who is Brahma himself, who is Lord Shiva, who is Durga Devi, what are the different Lakshmis, where they stay, what is the position of Ganesha, what is the position of sun god, moon god. So in the same place, Lord Brahma is explaining to us that the concept of Lord Shiva. So I will give first the Sanskrit of this verse. This is a verse from Brahma Samhita 5.45, 5th chapter, text number 45. And the Sanskrit is like this. Shiram yatha dadivikara vishesha yogat sanjayate nahi tatha pratak asti heto yah shambhutam api tatha samupaiti karyad govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. And then the translation of this wonderful verse is, he explains that just as a milk can be transformed into curd, all the Matajis, you are aware of this. Have you made curd from milk? Do you know how to make it? Okay, very good. There are some experts. So Asha is also saying, yes, she knows how to make curd from milk. Asha, can you make milk from curd? Is that possible? I'm not saying buttermilk. I'm saying milk. No, it is not possible. Okay, Vijaya, can you make milk from curd? Okay, Samir is also not able to make. Oh, failure. Nobody can make. We can make milk into curd, but curd into milk is not possible. But both are products of milk. Both are milk product only. Milk and curd, both are milk product. Both are dairy product. But we cannot make curd into milk, but we can make milk from, we can make milk into curd. We can curdle it. In the similar fashion, Lord Shiva, he is compared by Lord Brahma as curd. and Lord Vishnu is milk. So Lord Vishnu incarnates as Lord Shiva. But Lord Shiva cannot incarnate as Lord Vishnu. Both are God. But Lord Vishnu can incarnate as Shiva, and Shiva cannot incarnate as Lord Vishnu. I'm again repeating this example. Milk and curd. Milk is Vishnu, and curd is Shiva. So we can make milk into curd, but we cannot make curd into milk. Similarly, Lord Vishnu incarnates as Lord Shiva, but Lord Shiva cannot incarnate as Lord Vishnu. I hope you people have understood this much little bit. Can I take the yes from you? Little bit at least. Okay. Now comes what kind of incarnation he is. What is the name of this incarnation? So he is called as Guna Avatar. That means incarnation nation in the mode of ignorance. When Lord Vishnu incarnates, he incarnates in 6 types. That is not, there is not only one type, there are 6 different types in which Lord Vishnu incarnates. I hope once you people had a seminar on the different incarnations, so in that seminar this topic would have covered. If not, I will just give the names of the 6. So do you remember the 6? Kavita is saying yes, Harshala is saying no. Anyways, I'll give a brief of this. So first category is called the Purusha Avatar. The second category is Guna Avatar. The third category is Leela Avatar. Okay, I guess I should explain about this things a bit. Okay, so the Purusha avatars are those 3 Vishnus. The first Vishnu, the second Vishnu, and the third Vishnu, which we did not discuss much, but Samir Prabhu had asked me a question on that. So they are in the first category. They are the Purusha avatar. Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Shirodakshay Vishnu. So Samir Prabhu, I would like to give the answer here. You asked me a question.
Who is the third Vishnu, Prabhuji?
He is Shirodakshay. Samir Prabhu had asked, is the Trivandrum Lord Vishnu in the place Trivandrum, is he the third Vishnu? Yes, you are right. He is not the third one, but we worship him there. The second one is the real, which is worshipped in Trivandrum temple. Padmanabh Swami is his name. I will write in the chat box. Padmanabha Swami. Okay, Padmanabha means, Padma means lotus. Nabha means navel. So when the Lord from whose navel lotus has come, so that Lord is the second Lord, right? You remember the second Vishnu? So the Trivandrum Vishnu is the second Vishnu. Now the second category of the incarnations, which is Guna Avatar, Guna, Guna Avatar, the second category. So there are three incarnations in Guna. First one is Vishnu, second is Brahma, third is Lord Shiva. In mode of goodness is Vishnu, in mode of passion is Lord Brahma, and in mode of ignorance is Lord Shiva. Now the third category of incarnations is the Leela Avatar. Leela Avatar are those incarnation who come to do a special type of Leela. Like Matsya Avatar, the fish incarnation. So he came to do a special Leela. He was he rescued the rishis, the 7 rishis. He rescued the Vedas. He rescued all the important herbs. So that is a special Leela. That's why he is called as the Leela Avatar. Then the fourth category is Yuga Avatar. We know there are 4 yugas. So there is a main person in all these 4 yugas. Like Lord Narsimha Dev, he is Yuga Avatar of Satya Yuga. Lord Ram is Yuga Avatar of Treta Yuga. Lord Krishna is Yuga Avatar of Dwapar Yuga. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he is Yuga Avatar of Kali Yuga. Now comes the fifth category. The fifth category is called as Manvantara Avatar. You have heard of the term Manu? So Manu leaves when there are 14 Indras. In 14 Indra cycle is one cycle of a Manu.
Prabhu, I don't understand how to explain or sign Indra cycle.
Okay, leave this from. So in period of one Manu, there is one special avatar. The current Manu is 7th in number. So in all these different Manus.
Sorry, Prabhu, I don't understand. You have to go back, please.
Okay. So
you have to
in
start
total,
from what Manvantar actually means.
Okay. So Manvantara Avatar means a special incarnation who comes in a lifetime of one Manu. So like that, there are 14 Manus. Currently, the 7th Manu is in the position. And the incarnation, the special incarnation of this particular Manu is Lord Vamanadev. The Vamanadev who lifted 3 legs. You remember this story, Vamanadev, the dwarf Brahmana? So he is the Manvantara avatar. Like that, there are different avatars in all different Manus.
The sixth Manu basically means the person or the time.
Manu is person, Manvantara is a time.
So 1 minute. So when you say one Manu, that means the life of Manu.
Yes.
Now is the 7th Manu living.
Yes. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the names of all these Manus, which incarnation comes, what Leela, what type of different activities that particular incarnation will do, all these descriptions are given. Anyways, now the sixth incarnation, the sixth type of incarnation is called as Shaktyavesh Avatar. Shaktyavesh Avatar is called to those personalities who are specially given some power by Lord Krishna. They are specially given power by Lord Krishna. For example, Narad Muni. He is incarnation of Krishna in bhakti. Similarly, we all say that Lord Buddha, he is also a Shaktyavesh avatar. And the incarnation which will be coming in the future, the Kalki avatar. Kalki avatar, he is also Shaktyavesh avatar. Anyways, so we'll come back to our topic of Guna avatar and Lord Shiva. I hope you have a bit understood about the different incarnations, and Lord Shiva is Guna avatar. I will not go much into more details. We will stop this topic here. We will continue maybe one more time about Lord Shiva in the future. But I would like to give you some maybe one or two story if time permits. Basically, for us to understand what Shiva likes the most. Also, there was a question asked to me by Kavita. I thank Kavita for asking that question. That why do we offer water to Shivalinga? And what is Shivalinga? So Shivalinga, many people, they speak that Shivalinga is a private part of Lord Shiva. But that is false information. That is not correct information. That is wrong. So anybody in future, if they say you that Shivalinga is private part of Lord Shiva, the first thing you should do is don't listen to that person. But if he is your friend or a relative, then you tell them, I will believe. You show me where it is mentioned in the Vedas. If it is not in the Vedas, I will not believe into it. Then what is Lord Shiva? Then what is a linga? Linga is the understanding of universe. According to Linga Puran or Shiva Puran, you would have heard of this name, Linga Puran or Shiva Puran. It explains the meaning of Shiva Linga. And in that, it explains that how that golden egg, you remember, golden ball, which you saw in your previous class. Sorry. That golden ball represents the linga. But this representation comes in the, I guess it is the 11th Manu by name Tamasa Manvantara or Tamasa Manu. So in that particular Manu, Tamas Manu, to rule in the Tamas Manu, one of the 14 Manus. So can we worship Shivalingas? Yes, we can worship Shivalingas. And why do we offer water? No, the custom of water is not there. The custom of water has come later on nowadays. But the real worship of Shivalinga comes in the form when you offer Ganga to Lord Shiva. Why we offer Ganga to Lord Shiva? I hope you have heard the story of how Ganga came into this universe. When Lord Vamandev came, and Vamandev was calculating this whole universe with his 3 steps. So with one of his step, he pierced open the universe. And when he took his leg up, the toe of his leg pierced the universal shell, the universal covering. So the water from the spiritual world came to this material world, and that water is Ganga. So before, Ganga was only till heaven. Ganga wasn't coming down. But then a great king by name Bhagirath, he requested Mother Ganga to come down. Bhagirath, to come down. So Ganga told, I can come down, but no use, because my flow is so strong that if I fall on earth, I will make hole and go down. I cannot become a river there. My flow is very strong. At that time, Bhagirath, this king, went to Lord Shiva and requested, please, oh Shivji, you come and help me. Lord Shiva said, what is the task? He says, you have to hold the pressure of Ganga. And Lord Shiva said, oh, Ganga, the water which has washed the feet of Lord Vishnu, which was brought by Lord Vamandev. He said, yes, yes, that Ganga only. And very happily, Lord Shiva jumped onto this. He said, yes, I will take Ganga on my head. And that's how we know when Ganga came, Lord Shiva took the whole Ganga into his head and tied up his hairs, not letting the Ganga to flow. This is a very long and interesting story. Maybe we will cover it some other time. But very interesting, very loving story. For as of now, then finally, this king again requested, Bhagirath requested Lord Shiva, please leave Ganga. Why are you holding on your head? He said, no, this is Charanamrit. You know, you people go to the temple, you take Charanamrit in your hand and you drink. What is that Charanamrit? That Charanamrit is the water which has washed the feet of Lord Vishnu. So there is no difference between Ganga and Charanamrit. This Ganga is direct wash of Lord Vishnu. So Lord Shiva holds Charanamrit on his head. That's why you people also do. You take Charanamrit, you drink, and then you immediately put on your head. So it is not the custom to put water on Lord Shiva, on Shivalinga, but Ganga water. And that is why you would have heard that many people, they go to Haridwar, they go to Rishikesh, during the month of Shravana, the Hindu calendar Shravana month. And the government makes lots of arrangement. What are they doing? Why are they going? Why so many thousands of people are going to Ganga, to Haridwar? Because they are bringing the Ganga water to their home deity Shivalinga in their house or in their village, and put this Ganga water on the Shivalinga of their village. My brothers have also done this. My cousin brother who lives with me here in Bangalore, he has also brought the Ganga water and poured on Shivalinga at our village. Okay, so we will take few questions, but in our next session on Lord Shiva, we will